let's get started then. Let's open up the meeting for the November 1st, 2023 Water Sewer Commission meeting. Anybody here from the public that would like to speak? Hearing none, moving on to warrants, abatements. Sue, do you have those?
Yep. Could I get a motion to approve the minutes of October 3rd, 2023?
I'll make a motion. We accept those as printed.
Can I get a second?
Second. Yep, second,
Roll
Eric.
call vote.
Mr. Bernard,
Aye.
Mr. Jennings,
Aye.
Mr. Cantwell.
Aye.
Motion to approve the warrants in the amount of $63,141.18.
I'll make a motion. We accept those as printed.
Second.
Roll call vote, please, Sue.
Mr. Bernard,
Aye.
Mr. Jennings,
Aye.
Mr. Cantwell.
Aye.
All right, motion to approve the senior abatements in the amount of $841.56.
I'll make a motion. We accept those as printed.
Second.
Roll call vote, please, Sue.
Mr. Bernard,
Aye.
Mr. Jennings,
Aye.
Mr. Cantwell.
Aye.
Okay.
All right, moving on. Let's see, let's go under new business. Let's talk about the Bay Path access agreement extension. We have a deadline of December 6th to come up with another $25,000 to hold that piece of property that we have seemed to have found some water on. We'll hold it for another 6 months. It's a $25,000 non-refundable deposit. We knew that this time frame was coming when we signed the purchase and sales agreement. They've allowed us to hold a piece of property with no money as of now. We've done some testing. We found some water. I feel as if it's something that we should pursue. I did have some lengthy conversations.
Will that go towards the purchase price?
It does go towards the purchase price, yes.
It does.
I'll make a motion that we approve that $25,000 for the deposit and 6-month extension.
Can I get a second on that?
Yeah, Eric, I'll second.
Okay, roll call vote. Sue, please.
Mr. Bernard,
Aye.
Mr. Jennings,
Aye.
Mr. Cantwell.
Aye. All right, moving on. Next agenda item, water sewer superintendent position update. I guess Russ knows what's going on. Eric, we are in the process of figuring out what's going on. We've done some interviews, and we'll be back at the next meeting with an update of exactly where we are and how we're moving forward with that position.
Okay, have you narrowed it down to like, so sorry, this is just, so when I recruit, we have to go through phone screen and then we narrow down to on-site interviews and then we usually narrow it to 2 candidates. Are you doing something similar?
So we've met with 3 people so far for the position. Last Friday, we met with 2 of them. Monday, we met with 1. I met with Andrew Gouldis, the town administrator today. We're going to try to move around some job descriptions and maybe come up with a different avenue. Eric, and I'm waiting for the town administrator to let me know that we're good to go on that.
Got it. Okay, thanks.
Okay. So that's the update on the water sewer superintendent position. Want to bring it back to Veolia?
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing else on the agenda, right, other than that.
Well, Russ, I'm gonna need your vote for something. If Dave wouldn't mind speaking first, Dave Connors.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, great.
Vinny, did you want to jump first or you want me to go ahead and do my part first?
Yeah, I'll jump in first. I got a couple of screens I can share. So
Oh, okay.
Give me just a second to share my screen here. So November 1st starts the new contract. Can everybody see my screen okay?
Yes.
All right, so annually, if there's an increase in the CPI, we do an adjustment and the adjustment takes effect on November 1st. The sheet attached shows that there was a 3.1% increase this year, and it's calculated here. I don't know if you guys saw, but we have a fee calculation sheet that explains how and where it comes from. And basically, we used the CPI, all urban consumers, we do 75% of that. And then we use 25% of the water and sewer. We add those together and it came up to 3.26%. So that's where the calculation comes from. There's a schedule of rates attached. There's an index table that shows it month over month, the increases. And I have all this data available. I've shared it with Sue if you need it. But that's the increase. Last year we were at 7 3/4. This year we're at 3.1. So it's a little easier to take.
Yeah, the CPI indices have come down quite a bit in the past year. We've been seeing that across the board.
So then the next part is the maintenance limit account has been $2,500 per month since way before Veolia operated the project. As far back as I can see, about 10 years, it's been the same dollar amount. And it's really hard to operate the maintenance the way it needs to be on an aging plant with $2,500 a month. So with Pete in the office, he allowed me to pass through a lot of expenses. And the sheet I'm sharing now, the column to the left is 21 through 22. And the column to the right is 22 to 23. As you can see, we passed through $104,000 in 21 and $80,000 in 22. I'm asking if the board could double the maintenance limit account to $5,000 per month. And that would put us in a little better position where I don't need to come to you guys for every time I need to make $1,000 purchase.
And what you don't spend, Vinny, goes right back to us at the end of the year, right?
Yes. Now, with these years where I passed through what I did, there has been a few years where there was $2,000, $1,500 left, and we credit it back to the town. So there's an annual true up. The annual true up is October 31st, but it takes about 3 months for everything to true up. So you should be seeing it around January to February.
I'll make a motion, we increase that to 5,000. That's the
So-
amount requested, Vinny.
Yes,
Real quick, I'm having a little trouble with the math. So 5,000 a month. So then you're at 60,000 a year, right?
right. So there is still probably going to be items that'll be passed through. It just won't be
Okay.
at the frequency of this.
Gotcha. Okay. So your run rate here is about 90,000 a year. What we're saying is we're giving an allocation of 60,000. There may still be about 30,000 pass through overage, but you're looking for the increase in the allowance almost.
Yes, exactly.
Did I get that right? Okay.
There's maintenance items that are $3,000 to $5,000 and we do them every year. And when I purchase those maintenance items, I can't spend any money for 2 months to make up for it. So it really puts operations in a difficult spot of having no money for any repairs for 2 months because we chose to do a maintenance item.
Yep.
So it'll just give me a little more freedom to do the maintenance that we have to do.
Yep. Now I get it. I was just having trouble with the math given the, so I'll
Yeah, this-
second.
So all this stuff is I checked my emails for all the stuff I've passed through to the town. And I
Yep.
just compiled it in a rough spreadsheet. It could be a lot prettier, but I just wanted you guys to have a rough idea of what we're passing through. It's a lot of money and I think it could be a lot less if we handle that maintenance account better.
Agreed.
Perfect.
And
Thank you, Sue.
Eric,
Yeah, roll call vote, please, Sue.
Oh, did Eric second?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
Mr. Bernard,
Aye.
Mr. Jennings,
Aye.
Mr. Cantwell,
Aye. All right. Moving on, guys. Go ahead, Vinny.
Okay, so I got one more item me and Sue have been dealing with. We had a meeting this afternoon with,
oh wait, can we backtrack to the overtime overage that was supposed to be carried over to this month?
yes, I actually don't have it in front of me. Do you have it handy?
I can't share my screen.
We have it in
So-
our packets, I believe.
Yeah, it was part of the packet.
Yeah, so I
Yep.
believe October finished at 7 hours.
Yes.
We had 10 hours from May that has not been invoiced yet.
So
And
I have the hours calculated in, so for the, from November to October, there was a total of 144 and a half hours calculated for overtime. We haven't received all the bills, but your limit is 120. And
So-
last meeting, we discussed okaying the overage of hours.
so it sounds like we're asking for the okay of 21 hours.
Yeah,
Do we just need a motion to approve?
Yes.
All right,
Yeah.
so this is Eric. I'll do a motion to approve.
Second.
Roll call vote, Sue.
Mr. Bernard,
Aye.
Mr. Jennings,
Aye.
Mr. Cantwell.
Aye.
Okay, so now on that same topic, I have a separate warrant for two of the overtime bills that we can now pay with the approval. So I need a motion to approve warrants to Veolia in the amount of $3,477.96.
I'll make a motion. We approve that as printed.
Second.
Roll call vote, Sue.
Mr. Bernard,
Aye.
Mr. Jennings,
Aye.
Mr. Cantwell.
Aye.
Great, thanks.
All right, I got one more picture before I go on to the MOR. So me and Sue had a meeting with the surveyors that are conducting the survey on Route 20 for the Mass DOT. And can you guys all see this picture right here?
It's a great picture.
It is. So the red arrows are pointing to the dig safe marks. I'm not sure who marked this dig safe, but they drilled through the force main and we were trying to get them to cover the fees for fixing it. The dig safe rule is 18 inches, and from this picture, it looks like the line is a little over 18 inches. This morning, they were looking if we could split it. They'd pay half the bill and we'd be responsible for half. And I told them I couldn't make any decisions without speaking to you guys first. That was before I saw this picture. So we knew that they drilled through the force main. We paid to have it fixed initially, and we were trying to recuperate those funds. But this picture kind of shows we hold some liability.
Vinny, I thought we were putting it through their insurance company.
And we are, but they have a representative who's given us some pushback.
I mean, are they saying they didn't drill through it, or are they saying it wasn't marked properly? Do they know this picture exists?
They didn't know this picture existed until I showed them a picture of their plastic tube through the force main. And then they owned the fact that they drilled through it. And then they found this picture showing the dig safe marks.
Are we sure that this is the exact hole that they were digging at that time?
Yeah, I don't have it on my computer, but I got pictures and you can see the curb and ending here. This is
Yeah.
the old gas station and that is right where they hit it.
Okay.
Um,
I mean, I saw it when it was opened up,
right.
and it was deep right there. I couldn't believe how deep the sewer line was.
Yeah, so I mean, I don't know how you guys want to proceed. If you want us to try to negotiate them paying us half because they did drill through it.
How much is the
How
bill?
much is, yeah, how much is half the expense?
It's 16.5, I believe. total, 16.5 total.
What's
So
your
have
take on it?
some-
What's whose take on it?
Vinny, what's your take on it?
It's really hard. I mean, the fact that they drilled through it, but we didn't find it until months later. Like if they would have drilled through it and it would have sprayed up to the surface, we could have made them fix it right then and there. But it was a couple months later when it surfaced. Like I was explaining to Dave today, the only reason why we even found it is we were having a high flow event and the sewer was
Yeah.
surcharging, and that was the lowest point and it came out there. So, I mean,
Aren't they also saying that they don't want to be liable for anything else?
they wanted us to sign a waiver saying they won't be responsible for any future actions because of this.
Because of this hole, or are they saying any other holes that they drilled too?
They didn't specify. I think the waiver would be okay if we held them to just this hole. And we said, you know, it's repaired. We'll take ownership of the repair. If you'll, I'm thinking if we can get them to split the cost at this point, we might be okay.
Yeah, the regulations are pretty cut and dried on the 18 inches, so
It is.
their offer is pretty generous, given that, as long as we can, as you stated, limit the liability to anything associated with this particular drill, not with any other drills that they do, obviously.
Yeah, who marked that?
I don't know. Around that time, we had a whole bunch of dig safes on Route 20. And I requested that PETA have it outsourced because Route 20 is really dangerous to mark. And I'm not sure who Pete had marking it. But I believe that was one of the outsourced dig safes. I know I didn't mark it. I don't think Grant marked it. So
Is there any liability on their part on this?
yeah, they stuck a drill bit through it.
No.
They should have
On who
known when they
No,
pulled
on
that
who marked-
drill out, they should have seen it was wet. They should have been
No,
thinking,
Vinny, how about
Oh,
on the people
sorry.
that marked it?
oh,
Because they obviously didn't mark it in the proper spot.
Dave, you think there's any liability they can have on that? If we
We'd
can
have to go
find
back
it?
and take a look at what mapping information we provided to them.
Okay.
So I don't know what, Vinny, I don't know what mapping you gave to the third party to mark out there. Is there drawings that we have in that area, and how well are they? I mean, you could recreate the mark and see where it is relative to where they hit and see if they truly mismarked it. If they, you know, if it's clearly was right there where the drill was and their mark was 3 feet away, then they've got some liability.
I would assume it was
Alright.
mismarked. There's,
I'll make a motion that Vinny negotiate with the company that did the drilling to recoup half of the loss and to investigate the possibility of whether or not it was marked incorrectly and there's any liability there.
yeah, this spot's a really hard spot to mark. I know you guys are all familiar with this little bridge right near the shop. And the sewer cuts out and goes outside of the bridge, and then it cuts back in, and then it straightens out on Route 20. And there's no physical structures to show you where the pipes land. So it was a best guesstimate, whoever did mark it.
And Route 20 may have been widened, you know, since the time they put that sewer in, so some of the markings may not be
Yeah,
of any value anymore.
I'll see if I can do some legwork and find when the dig safe came out on it. I keep all of
Okay.
those, and I'll just see if I can at least run down who we were in contacts with at that time.
Sounds good.
So my only concern with half, I don't know if that's what we're saying, my only concern with half is that clause that they wouldn't be liable for anything else from this drill hole. So if we find something a year from now and it's an $80,000 issue, we're saying we're liable for 100% of that, right?
Well, trying to pinpoint it back to that drill hole at this point in time is going to be very difficult anyway.
Mm.
I don't care what goes wrong. If it's a year from now, or even if it's 3 days from now, it's still whatever happened more than yesterday. We're not
Yeah.
you know, it's gone through the system already, and like Vinny said, it's you know, that was only found because it was an extreme high flow event. And
Right.
you know, I mean, I don't know if you could trace anything else back to it. Certainly this long after.
Vinny, how much did they excavate when they repaired it? Have they
It
cut
was-
back pretty far on either side?
No, it was a really clean excavation. We could see the leak. So they did a boring hole and they left the PV sleeve into it. So every time the pump station came on, you could actually watch the liquid come up about a foot in the PVC and then it would settle down. The reason it never went higher is that's the very end of the force main. 20 feet down the road from that, it goes into the gravity that heads down the plant driveway. So it was literally the perfect spot if you were gonna hit something.
It sounds like they just nicked it. They didn't destroy it, right?
Right, they literally shaved a little bit of the edge off. The repair was just a repair clamp, a stainless steel repair clamp. So it was the contractor's time to excavate it, clean everything up and put a clamp on.
So the liability issue may be with that repair. That might be something that we want to be concerned about, right? So if that repair clamp sometime in the future, you know, within the next year or so goes, then we've given up the liability for them to come back and repair that.
In my opinion,
We've taken liability rather.
we would be in a pretty safe spot with that repair. But
Okay.
that is my opinion. And it is what it is.
Eric, the hole was like 6 foot by 6 foot and it was about 8 feet deep.
Okay.
All right. And then they filled it in with like slurry out of cement trucks after the repair was done.
Yeah, it was a
Okay.
flowable fill.
What kind of fill?
Flowable fill. It's sand mixed with a little bit of concrete in it.
Yeah, the
All
DOT,
right.
the DOT requires that on any DOT road.
Right.
Okay. I forget where we left off. Did somebody motion to approve funding half?
But Ken,
I did.
well, wait, this wasn't on the agenda for us to discuss, so I don't think you can motion to do anything. So maybe Vinny does his research on the dig safe request, we do a little bit more work and then bring it back for you guys to make any decisions.
Sounds good. Put it on the agenda for next month.
Okay.
Excellent.
All right, that's the end of voting, right?
Yeah,
All right, Russ, you can go if you want to.
Wonderful. Thanks, guys. Have a good evening.
Thanks. Moving on, go ahead, Vinny.
All right, I'm gonna be covering MOR for the month of September. The plant was staffed by myself, Grant Krisiak, and Amy Nassus. Veolia's monthly inspection report was completed. The quarterly objectives were working at heights. The training was hazardous communication training, and we completed it. Compliance for the month, September, Veolia reported 1 E. coli daily limit exceedance. And we believe it was attributed to high flows we received time of sampling. So UV disinfectant is only good to a certain flow with the system we have. And the day of sampling, our flows were really high. The next line item is toxicity testing started on October 25th. And actually that was our retest. We had failed toxicity the prior month and DEP required us to retest. So we started our retest and I just received the results today that we passed on that one. We made a new sampling template to align with the general permit. And we also modified all of the chain of custodies so that they matched the new permit. And we reviewed these items with Veolia's technical team and they approved it. And they helped us work on the HawkWEMS database where we enter all of our samples. Operations and maintenance activities. The flash mixer, we replaced the salt bridges on both pH probes and recalibrated them. One of them wouldn't take a calibration, so we ended up installing a new pH probe. The new forklift, we were inspecting it and we noticed it had some corrosion. So we coated the entire machine in fluid film and that should slow the corrosion down for a few years. Comag sludge pump number 2 started leaking, so we isolated the pump. We have 2 other pumps we can run, and we honestly haven't got to that project yet, but it's on the list. Another issue with Comag is the wasting and razzing got stuck at 35 gallons a minute. Even though it was asking for more, it couldn't get above it. It's normally running at 100 gallons a minute. So we spent 10 hours here just trying to get that thing to pump. And we eventually got it going by priming the pump and then surging the system, which is you turn a pump on another side and backflow it through. And we got it up to the 100 gallons a minute. On September 13th, we had the big storm coming in, so we did our storm preparedness. We got food. We made sure all the generators were fueled up, and we planned for the worst case scenario, which wasn't too bad. LaFleur Electric was at the plant. They were reprogramming the generator for the weekly run, and they also installed a mechanical timer for the Headworks grit system. So we've been having problems with the grit system. It would run and then it wouldn't run. And when it did run, it would overflow the container that was catching the grit. So when they put the mechanical timer on, it only runs for 15 minutes, but it does it every hour and a half. And we've been removing more grit than I've ever seen on a consistent basis. So that was a nice improvement. On September 17th, the secondary clarifier had an 8-foot blanket. And basically, I spent the whole day into the night here trying to get it under control. And we ended up reopening the other secondary clarifier, which had been isolated. On the 18th, we had a tree fall in the driveway. It took out the power. And this was about 1 in the afternoon. National Grid showed up. They cut the tree out of the driveway and disconnected the power to the plant and left. About 30 minutes after they left, the plant's generator died, and I began running the plant manually. So the generator would turn back on after a cool down period, and I would run all the pumps full bore just to maintain levels. About 9:30 that night, National Grid came back and restored the power for us. We contacted FM Generator to come out and diagnose the issues. We were getting a code, and it was an AC voltage sensing code, which I'm not familiar with. And they determined that the drive belts for the fan were bad, so the fans weren't spinning fast enough. So the generator was actually shutting down on high temp, and it was throwing that code because that was the last thing it was looking for was voltage. They quoted us $1,700 to replace them belts. I didn't think that seemed appropriate. So we contacted Hilltop Repairs and we sourced the belts ourselves. The alkalinity analyzer, we had moved that a few months ago and the calibration was a little off. So we spent some time recalibrating that and we really got it dialed in and it's working great in its new spot. It's within a couple of milligrams per liter of every sample we test. On September 20th, the alarm company called about a sensor being tripped. I came in at about 3 in the morning and one of the door sensors was loose. I just tightened it up and everything was good. These door sensors, they loosen up. All the doors in the plant are old and they're having a hard time closing and open. They stick. In the near future, we're going to be replacing some of them, and that's probably going to be a big project. We installed the new sump pump in Headworks, and we piped it straight into the trough. The old sump pump used to pump around through the yard to the EQ tank, and the piping's cracked under the ground, so it would bubble up when it ran. And it's kind of the same as piping it into the trough in Headworks. They both go to the same spot, so I didn't see the reasoning of repiping it under the ground like that. RE Erickson was on site to do the annual calibrations of all the flow meters. They did the influent, the effluent, plant water, and both of the MTA meters. We received the new 20-foot storage container, and currently it's in the parking lot, but we're gonna have highway move it to the location that the shed's in once the shed's emptied. Collection system activities, on September 5th and 17th, we collected MTA samples. On September 8th, UGAM was out and they were performing the flow monitoring. One of the Hawk flow meters had failed and they couldn't get the modem on it to work. We're in contacts with Hawk now to see what they can do about these. They had issues with another one, so this ain't the first time. We met with Mass DOT about some cracked manhole covers on Route 20. They had the road shut down for an accident, so they brought us out there to check all the framing, and basically I explained that to my knowledge, they're the ones who install them, we just supply them. So that's probably gonna be on hold for them for a while. That stretch of road was paved not too long ago. Pump station activities. We added some antenna extensions to several of the pump stations to improve the connection quality, and it got a little better, but they're still not great. We load tested all the generators, and while doing so, North Main Street's generator failed to run. We troubleshooted it, and we found that the lift fuel pump was bad. That station has about 25% of the total plant's flow. So we contacted Slim Sewer Service and asked them to be our emergency contact if we lost power, because that station fills really fast. So we need somebody on standby. We installed a new cell phone carrier's SIM card at South Sturbridge Road, and it still has no connection. The company that's supplying the aeration blowers for 6 West North Sturbridge and the Route 20 project, they came out and they checked all the sites to see if they thought they'd work well there, and they said they're gonna clean up a lot of the grease in the wet wells once we get them up and running. The Route 20 bubbler system had failed, and the team replaced the tubing, and we borrowed some of the pots from the old stock from the 6 West station. So when 6 West got its upgrade, we took all the bubbler system out. So now we have some spare parts for those. So we just swapped them right into that Route 20 station. On September 24th, Mugget Hill lost power, and it was back on within an hour. We had no issues because of it. We cleaned up the 6 West pump station after the upgrade, and we turned in the scrap metal. We brought the money and the receipt into the office. We hauled 6 loads of sludge to Cranston for disposal. We received 2 totes of sodium hydroxide and 1 55-gallon drum of sodium hypochlorite. There were 2 grinder pump calls. One was at 15 Hollywood. The alarm was going off, some grease on the floats, and we installed the redundant run circuit. The other one was at 60 Park Road. It was an old system, and we scheduled Ed Lafort to upgrade it. The special notes, we calibrated with Amazon engineers to compile a list of critical equipment for the Route 20 pump station. We did a little bit of research on some chemical storage options, and we received a quote. I didn't attach it because I believe I need to do some more research. Before Peter left, we were discussing chemical storage options to get us in compliance with Tier 2. And one of the options was they make connexes that are ready to store chemicals. They have Ansel systems in them. They have spill containment. They start at about 60,000 and go up to 80,000 for what I was looking at. So I'm gonna reach out to a few more companies and get some more quotes before I even bring them over to you guys and show you. And then Southbridge Veolia had sent some extra help out. They did the weekly checklists and they checked in on Grant while I was out of town. That concludes the MOF for September of 2023. Any questions?
No questions from me. Thank you, Vinnie.
You're welcome.
Eric, any questions?
None for me.
Next, what's the next item on the agenda?
I don't think there is anything.
What's that?
I think that's all of, other than, if Dave has anything more to say, Dave Connors.
No, we'll hold off until the next meeting
Okay.
or anything else. I think we're good for now.
All right, Dave, I have a question for you since you're on the line.
Yep.
When am I gonna be getting more staff at my plant? I've been paying for 3 guys for 5 months. It's in the contract. And I'm gonna have a problem answering to people from town or anybody if they ask me why I'm paying for 3 guys and only getting 2.
Yeah, well, I assure you that we're doing everything we possibly can to try and find someone. We had a candidate that we thought was going to be good recently. Fortunately, there were some background issues. Job market is very, very difficult right now, but we're attempting to reach out to other projects to bring in support, as Vinny has in the past with Southbridge and Sturbridge as well. But we're going to continue. We got the recruiters on it, our internal recruiters, and it's something that we're working through right now.
All right, and from what I understand, Southbridge has a full staff and so does Sturbridge. I feel like
Southbridge has a full staff that just recently became full. They had at least 2 vacancies over the past 2 years, so it's been very, very difficult to find people in the area.
Can you try to make that a priority for me?
I will, absolutely.
All right.
Yeah.
I appreciate. Again, I'm gonna have a hard time answering why we're.
No, I get it. I understand.
I'm sure I'm not the only guy. I'm sure you have this problem everywhere.
Yeah, no, we're one of the things that we've done in a lot of the other projects, and we're going to be spreading into Massachusetts next year, is an internship program for water wastewater careers. We're working with a lot of the high schools. We started it in Connecticut, working with a lot of the vocational high schools in Connecticut to try and build up a curriculum for water and wastewater operations. Right now, most of the vocational schools, at least in Connecticut, are focused on plumbing and mechanical and things like that. We're trying to work into their curriculum with water wastewater careers. We just applied for a EPA grant to expand that program into Massachusetts. We did a pilot of 6 interns in Connecticut this year, and it's worked out really well. If that's something that we can talk to even the local high school about, developing some sort of a curriculum at the local high school for kids. It doesn't have to be a vocational high school. We've done that as well in the communities that we serve.
Okay.
So it's a problem nationwide, and it's
Yes.
a problem that we're trying to attack it at every angle.
Okay.
But if that's something you guys would be interested in us talking to the local school system, we could do that for sure. And
Right.
maybe getting an intern up there in Charlton next summer, or at some point next year.
What department would they come out of? We have a local vocational school not far from us at all. What department would you be pulling from?
It's typically plumbing that we
Okay.
draw from. Yeah. And the kids are extremely interested in it. We worked with every one of the vocational schools in Connecticut, and we've gotten between 6 and 8 interested applicants, and we've had to turn kids away. Because they get out of high school and they're making $27 an hour right off the bat. So it's a good viable career, and it's recession proof. So they love it. The teachers love it. The school administration loves it, and the kids love it. But yeah, I'll make it a priority. Point well taken.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Dave.
What's our next meeting? Is that the last thing up on our agenda?
I believe so. Hold on.
Eric, does Wednesday nights work for you?
Yeah, Wednesday works okay. it
We
better
had
for
a
you?
discussion in the recent weeks about maybe swapping to Wednesday nights instead. Tuesday nights were a great night for Pete. And now that Pete's not here anymore, we can kind of mix things up a little bit, and Wednesday night kind of came up, and it would be personally the best night for me, Wednesday nights, but I wanted to check with you.
Yeah, Tuesday or Wednesday, it doesn't matter either way. So yeah, I'm good with Wednesday.
Okay.
Should we check with the other Peter?
Yeah, for sure. I did speak with Russell about it. He didn't have too much of an issue.
Okay.
So I will reach out to Peter Lamb.
Yeah, just because that way we'll be sure to beat quorum.
Perfect. So let's schedule the next meeting for Wednesday, December 6th. And I will talk to Peter Lamb between now and in the next couple of days. I'll call, reach out to
Okay.
him. All right.
Yep.
Anything else?
Other than a motion to adjourn?
Yeah, I guess you can make that, Eric.
Motion to adjourn.
Perfect. Roll call vote, Sue.
Mr. Bernard?
Aye.
Mr. Cantwell?
Aye. Thank
Thanks,
you all very
everyone.
much.
Thank you.
Take care.